This is Couples Court with the Cutlers.
This is the case of Noor versus Anwar. You all have been together a little over 2 years. You are living together, and you're considering a move together across the country. But Miss Noor, you're not moving anywhere if it is determined today that he's cheating. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. And Mr. Anwar, you understand what's at stake here today, right?
Yes, I completely do, Your Honor.
Your future together, you're moving together, all of that's at stake today, right now, depending on what happens here, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Noor, tell me how you all got together.
So Tusif and I met on social media. We met on Facebook, and he was, hitting me up for a long time, and I wasn't really giving into it. And then
You playing hard to get?
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months. Okay, that's still.
He was hitting me up for a while, and I was like, you know what? One day I was bored, and I had my rabbit, and we were hanging out, and so I brought her over to his house, and we were just hanging out, and we really clicked. And so I wasn't planning on dating someone, but I started dating him because I really fell for it. We had a lot of fun towards the beginning. It was really romantic.
So when you say us, you mean he took you and your rabbit on the date?
Sometimes the rabbit, yes. Yes.
When she said rabbit, I said, did she say rabbit? And look, you were chasing her for 6 months. What was it about her that made you say, I gotta stay in this?
Honestly, Your Honor, I would say everything, the moment I saw her, she was the most beautiful girl, and she had the most beautiful eyes. And I just, I just knew at that moment that I love her and I want to be with her for the rest of my life.
All right, well, Romeo, Juliet, and the Love Bunny. All of that all together here. What were the first signs that make you feel suspicious about it?
So to begin with, at first, I wasn't super snoopy, but once we got, kind of serious about a month in, I started looking at his phone, and, I would see texts from other women and, all this stuff, I used to, and I was like, I'm so into you, but, maybe, there's another side that I don't know or what's going on, So I started getting suspicious, and there would be situations where I would smell, women's perfume on him, stuff like that,
Not true.
So there was...
not true.
There was definite suspicion, so...
Okay, so Mr. Anwar, who are these other women texting you?
No one. My mom, my sister, you know what I mean? I never did anything to hurt her, and, I love her to death, and I just want to, start our life together and be happy together, and that's why I'm here, trying to prove that, I'll do anything to make us work.
You submitted an exhibit to help you explain some of the changes that you saw in his behavior, right?
Yes.
Okay, would you step to the monitor, please, and show us what you brought?
So I am a teacher, so I like visuals. So in terms of communication, towards the beginning, we were great. We would,
We're still great.
we would talk, we would talk, we would communicate about everything.
And now?
Now he's too busy texting other women to even,
That is so not true.
to even communicate with me.
Mr. Anwar, hold on.
So are you finding him texting while you're all supposed to be visiting with each other, or late at night, or early in the morning? What are you seeing?
Usually late at night, just but again, very snoopy. He's very secretive.
Yeah, because you see the exhibit, that's a bed. So is he texting other women while you're late at night in your bed?
Well, there's actually a story that I'm gonna go into, but I've heard him, speaking to other women, getting out of bed, leaving the room, going to talk to, other women in another room.
God, that is
is this in the wee hours of the morning?
Yeah, 2 a.m., 3 a.m.,
Okay, what other changes have you seen?
So I've also seen a change in romance. Before, he used to give me, he used to bring me chocolates and flowers and teddy bears. And
the classics.
Yeah, take me out on spontaneous dates, all that stuff.
And now?
There's the romance is dead.
So he's just coming home?
He's just coming home, usually leaving late at night, not telling me where he's going, smelling like perfume.
Oh.
What other changes have you seen?
So, a change in our sex life.
Okay.
He used to have sex with me at least 9, 10 times a day. We don't...
You said 9, 10 times a day?
Yes.
We're not gonna just leave that laying there, no pun intended. That rabbit is quite an inspiration for them.
Okay. I meant to put rabbit on the list.
Right. No, because I'm not up to 9 or 10 times a day. I'm not into that. So what has it become now?
Now it's maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks.
That is not true.
Yeah.
That's a big drop off.
It's weird, right?
And Mr. Color, these are the classics. Lack of communication, what you did to get them, you don't do to keep them.
Right.
And then, of course, the admirable 9 times a day to once a week or once every 2 weeks. These are just the classics.
Classic, yeah.
All right, if you'll come back to your podium, Ms. Noor.
Thank you.
Mr. Anwar,
That's it.
how you gonna go from 9, 10 times a day to once a week?
Your Honor, to be honest, she is lying. To be completely honest with you, we did the thing like this morning even, and she's always lying about stuff like this.
Oh.
She always wants to make me look bad.
That falls under the category of too much information, but okay. But Ms. Noor, I see that you have probably the most interesting witness we've had in this courtroom. He's very thin. Can you tell me about this? What do we have here?
Yes, so I am a science teacher. So this is the anatomy of a cheater.
All right, tell me about the anatomy of a cheater.
Yes, so the anatomy of a cheater, you might find that the cheater uses his mouth to talk to other women. Tusif uses his mouth to talk to other girls. Initially, like I mentioned earlier, he would text other women. He would kind of hide the text, delete them, whatever. Now, more recently, I had been keeping up with some of his texts from the past, and as I was looking back, I saw some texts about, I wish we were still together,
That is not true. Where did you see that?
I miss you, anyway.
And Ms. Noor, you submitted your recollection of that text to the court, correct?
I did.
Okay. And let's take a look at that. And this is a text to his ex. And Mr. Anwar wrote, "I miss what we had."
Me too, is her response.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Anwar, did you send this text to your ex?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. But it was towards the beginning of our relationship. I wasn't as sure as I'm right now, and that was probably a month into us dating, And
But Mr. Anwar, you were sure enough to be, engaged with her 9 times a day. How much more sure do you need to be?
To me, that doesn't really prove anything, And
Have you cut off your communication with her completely?
yes, I have.
You've not had any communication since this text?
No.
But I see you shaking your head. Okay, why do you say that he has continued to communicate?
Okay, so tracking back to the anatomy of a cheater.
Okay.
So one night I hear him get up. It's about 3 a.m. in the morning. I hear him get out of bed, and he's going into the other room, and he's talking to someone over the phone. So I scooch over to the corner of the bed, and I'm listening, and I'm trying to hear it, and he's just sitting here sweet talking this girl,
That
baby,
is not true. I was making fun of her the whole
all
time.
that. All that.
And you believe that was the ex he was talking to?
It definitely was, because I went back and I checked the number, and I had been following that number since the beginning.
And that was after this text had happened?
This was 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Were you talking to your ex 2 or 3 weeks
Your
ago?
Honor, I was, but she.
Wait a minute, hold it.
Okay. Yeah.
So, are you lying now, or were you lying a few minutes ago when you said you had not had contact with her since this?
Your Honor, I wasn't lying to you. I don't have contact with her. She just called me randomly, and to be honest, if I had to pursue other women,
I want
it
you to
would
be
not
honest,
my
but I
ex,
don't think that's what's happening here. That's the problem.
Yeah, but if I had to talk to other women, I wouldn't go to my ex to begin with. And she called me, and she was very drunk. So when I was talking to her, she kept on blabbering, and I was like, "Can I hang up? I have to go. I don't wanna stay here talking to you. It's the middle of the night." And she kept blabbering, and I was just making fun of her the whole
Mr.
time.
Anwar, it's real simple. Watch this. Click.
That's true. I was just trying to be polite.
All right, Ms. Noor. All right, so going back to your anatomy of a cheater, what do we have on your cheater's hip?
So in the cheater's hips, you might find a wallet, right? So one day I was doing Tusif's laundry, and like the amazing girlfriend I am, I was doing his laundry, and and I'm very snoopy. So I looked through his wallet, and I found a condom. And I'm on birth control. We don't use condoms. So you can fill in the blank.
So why do you have a condom when you don't use them with your girlfriend?
I had that condom since I was 10 years old, to be honest. Every guy
You
has
had a
one.
condom in your wallet,
Every
the
guy
same
has
condom?
one, and I wouldn't count on it either. I had it, I forgot about it. And I don't even think that would work, to be honest.
A 10-year-old, wait a minute. A 10-year-old with a condom, for real?
Well, I was a bad kid, what can I say,
For a person who's having sex 9 times a day, I can't believe you even held on to a condom for 10 years.
That's true, yeah.
So, Mr. Anwar, I want to make sure your testimony is you are not cheating.
No.
All of these things look bad, but they're not bad.
They're not bad. It's all misunderstanding, and I would never do anything to hurt her because I love her so much, and she's perfect for me, and she's so smart, beautiful. She graduated college at 18, for God's sake. It's just insane. Like, I don't even know where I can find a girl like that.
Well, I agree. It's hard to find a good woman.
Yes.
That's why we've done a full investigation. We're gonna find out if you're cheating or not. Love, this is what we got. Talking to an ex, condom in a wallet. Those are the things that have Miss Noor believing that Mr. Anwar is cheating. And she has said, I am not moving across country and be with you and you're cheating. She said, I'm out if I'm doing that. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
You said Ms. Noor graduated from college at 18?
Yes.
So she's very smart.
Very smart.
You can't outsmart her.
I know, Your Honor. That's why I don't try to.
Well, you know what? You can't outsmart this court either, because this court has done a full and complete investigation. At this time, we're going to call forensic voice analyst Guy Wolf to determine, is he cheating? Lon, please escort Mr. Wolf in.
Guy Wolf.
How are you, Mr. Wolf?
I'm well, Your Honor. How are you?
We're good. Glad to see you, as always.
Good to see you as well.
Now, Mr. Wolf, would you state your credentials, please, for the court?
Yes, Your Honor. I have more than 20 years of experience in law enforcement, most of which was spent as an investigator. I have more than 12 years of experience as a forensic voice analyst and have performed hundreds and hundreds of exams.
Would you explain for us how forensic voice analysis works?
Yes, Your Honor. When you speak, you have AM and FM frequencies in your voice, like on a radio, and when you tell a lie, the FM frequency goes away. Forensic voice analysis works by analyzing or measuring those frequencies. I can then look at a chart and I can determine where somebody's being deceptive.
Now, you asked Mr. Anwar a series of questions, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's take a look at the first question you asked him.
Since being in a relationship with Miss Noor, have you had physical sexual contact with your ex-girlfriend who you received a call from in the middle of the night?
No.
What did the forensic voice analysis determine?
The forensic voice analysis determined that he was being truthful, Your Honor.
No.
I don't think you believe it.
I mean, I guess
It's science,
I have to.
You're a science
Science.
teacher. Like, this is science.
All right.
Can't beat it.
Let's take a look at the next question.
Since being in a relationship with Miss Noor, have you had sexual intercourse with any woman other than Miss Noor?
No.
What did the forensic voice analysis determine?
The forensic voice analysis determined that he was being truthful, Your Honor.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, Ms. Noor,
That's a lot.
Miss Anwar, how do you feel?
I feel relief, Your Honor. This is why I came here, to prove her that, I never did anything to hurt her, and now she knows, I really want to, spend the rest of my life with her. And, I just had to ask a question to her, if you guys allow me to.
Sure.
I really love you, and I want to be, with you for the rest of my life. And I just want to ask you this. Will you marry me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's on the wrong hand. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just kind of looked over there and saw that. All right. Now, what you did to get her, you got to continue to do.
Yeah.
So if you are romancing her, whether it's cooking a beautiful meal for her, but you gotta do that.
Yes, Your Honor.
And take some vitamins so you can get back up to you 9 times a day.
For sure I will.
And Miss Noor, you got to give him some space. You got to let him be, who he is. He's an outgoing, friendly, gregarious person. Let him be that person because that's what you like about him, right?
Your Honor.
All right, so here's the deal. You all are gonna pack your bags, move to this new city across the country together, build this wonderful relationship. Talk to our counselor, he's gonna give you some tips. Do not cheat yourself out of a chance to have a happy, healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
Court is adjourned.